What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we have added a new vehicle to the fleet. It is a 2020 Dodge Durango. In today's video, we're going to lower it. Alright, getting into it, if you guys are new to this channel, essentially we take vehicles, bikes, and all kinds of different things and we customize them. We essentially take things that we don't like and replace them with things we do like. And as I said, we are going to be replacing the wheel gap on this unit right here. It is actually horrendous. You can kind of see how much of a gap there is there. That said, I watched many videos on how to do this, and if I'm being honest, they all sucked. No offense to the people that made the videos, they're just really bad. There's no good tutorial on what you have to do. It's just a bunch of makeshift, shifted around things as what bolt they took off and what they didn't take off. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a video that is actually informative to you guys and give you step-by-step on how to do this. Let's get into it. Now, if you're asking yourself, how am I gonna lower it? We're gonna go ahead and install a set of these Megan Racing Performance lowering springs. And I looked at the Eibach. I didn't like the idea of the Eibach because a lot of times they're either too much or too little. Most of the time they're too little. For this particular vehicle, it was like a 0.7 inch drop in the front, like a 1.8 in the back. These particular ones are 0.9 in the front and 1.6 in the back. I don't feel that the gap is much different than the front. There's a little bit of a difference, but not that much of a difference. So I think that the Megan Racing is more of a, I would say, a better fitment, and they're also a well-known brand. They've been around a long time. But the first thing I want to do before we even open the box, I want to go ahead and measure each wheel gap to figure out where we're at. We'll mark it down. We'll see the difference after we install the new springs. Starting with the passenger side front, we got 4.5. And passenger side rear, 5.5. Driver side front, 4.5. Driver side rear, just over 5. All right, now that we have our dimensions, let's go ahead and cut this box open and take a look at these things. There they are. Not bad. It looks like quality spring. Very, very heavy duty. That thing is, it's got to be 3/4 of an inch round for the rear. Just like the Eibachs. These are a nice quality. The finish is really, really nice. This isn't a promotional video. They aren't sponsored at all. I just happened to see these, and I've used these on Civics many, many years ago with no problem. And I think, like I said, this looks like a quality unit. So let's move forward. Alright, so first thing that we need to do is we need to get this thing on a lift. Now don't worry, for those of you at home that are probably trying to do the same thing, you don't need a lift to do this, but you do need some jack stands and a jack. Jack stands are key. Never jack up a car and not have jacks, or I'm sorry, not have jack stands, because it's very dangerous and you cannot rely on just a jack alone. Alright, I want to apologize in advance, guys. You're going to hear some fan noise, but it's hot, so there's no way I'm running this without a fan, but I do want to show you exactly where I jacked it up at. In the front, you'll see I'm on the rail right here, and then when you're looking in the very back, there's a jack pad right there. So that's what I'm using to jack it up. I would suggest you do the same. You guys can make your choice on that, but this seems to be a solid position so far. Okay, and the very first step on the vehicle is obvious common sense. We have to take the wheels off. Now, if you guys have stock wheels like I have, you're going to have a 7/8 inch lug, and you'll probably have a factory lock like this. I'll go ahead and zip off all four, and we'll get to business. Alright guys, so let me show you the basics on what the suspension is and what is going to have to be replaced, and then we'll kind of do it in order. Primarily what you need to know is obviously here's our strut mechanism and here's our spring that we're going to be removing. Typically there's 3 bolts in the top of this unit that's going to have to come out to drop this thing down. However, that's going to be one of the last parts we do, and the reason why is that we have to remove a lot of this stuff to be able to get this little shoe you see right here up and over and out. So common sense parts that we have to remove is essentially this whole hub right here and the axle. So what we're going to do is we're going to be taking apart this bolt right here first, okay? Then we'll be removing this one right here, then the sway bar link, then our lower bolt here, and our axle bolt. And all this stuff should be separated and come out. Now, a lot of the videos that I saw, they were trying to do one at a time. Well, the common sense thing is that your axle's in the way, and the only way you're getting your axle out is to take this whole assembly out. So there's no shortcut to that. This thing doesn't go down any farther, and you need basically to get that out of the way to be able to get to anything. So let's start with, like I said, we're going to take this bolt off, and we're going to take off everything to get this hub off. That includes the brake as well. Alright, so I have decided to take off actually the brake first, because I kind of want it out of my way, and I don't want to have to pry on it when I'm having loose bolts up here, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off first. I'm going to take the whole caliper off. I'm not going to separate it. I'm just taking the whole thing off, and there's going to actually be star bits back here. There's one here. There's one also back in here. And normally these are a T-bit. It's probably like a T18 or T20 or something. I don't know what it is. But what actually worked for me is a 5/8 inch 12 point. It actually fits perfect, nice and tight. So that's what I use. If you guys don't have that T-bit, don't spend anything special. Just get yourself one of those. That ought to work. Anyhow, after taking out the 2 bolts, go ahead and set it aside. You want something to put it on because you don't want your lines hanging, because if you let them hang, you're gonna get some trouble. Don't forget as well to take out your ABS sensor because you will destroy that little wire there if all that weight's hanging on it. All right, so now that our brake is completely out of the way and won't bother us anymore, everything was taken off. It was, again, these 2 bolts right here, and then we had our ABS sensor with a 10mm nut, and then there's just a quick connector that comes back right here that holds it to the back of this upper arm to stop it from being rubbing on a wheel or any components. So that's all out of the way. We're good there to go. The next step that I'm going to do, I think I'm going to mess with the tie rod end, and the reason why is I don't know when it's at its least resistance. I would assume it's when it's in the air, but you can tell that's a beefy tie rod. I mean, look at my thumb compared to that thing. That thing's got to be about an inch and a half, inch and a quarter or so round. It's pretty beefy. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out right here. I'm going to leave the lower one in for now. I shouldn't have to take it out, but if I can get the upper one in and slide it out, we'll be good. Now that looks to be a 5/8 inch bolt or somewhere around there. So I'll zip this thing out and we'll see if we can pull this thing straight back. All right, so that was relatively easy. Oddly enough, this was metric. This was an 18mm. I used a crescent wrench for the back, but that was bigger, like a 2021, if I had to guess. But it came out really easy, so I went ahead and slid it out and just pushed this out of the way. We should be going the sway bar link now. Moving forward, I'm going to go ahead and remove the lower bolt that holds the strut to the lower A-arm, and the reason why is I don't want to fight with that while I'm trying to get this main unit off, so I'm going to go ahead and separate that now. All right, so that bolt's out. It was a 1 1/16 on both sides. It's out now, and you'll see that this thing moves free and easy. So with that said, we're good there. It's time to start taking off some of these bolts here. All right, so I just took out our tie rod end, and that was actually fairly easy. There's a nut that sits right up here. It's 13/16, and then you're going to take a hammer and just lightly tap this thing. You'll see it pop right out and just kind of move it out of your way. Now we have free moving, basically brake rotor. Now I'll attempt to drop this thing right here to see if I get clearance, but I'm pretty confident that I won't, and then I'm going to have to pull this whole thing off. But I'll go ahead and try it just for your guys' sake to let you know that it's possible or not. Okay guys, for the record, I want to show you exactly what I do to get this upper nut off. It's not as easy because you can't get an impact gun in here with the slope of this thing right here, so you can't just zip it off. It's a 13/16 nut, and you got an Allen head that goes on the inside, and you're going to basically hold that from turning. Now, I don't know what size Allen head this is. It's like maybe a 5 or 6mm, something like that, but you guys can get the hint. I'm going to basically keep taking this thing off and turning this left and left and left. So let me get it off real quick. All right, as you see, I have this thing pried down. There's not a whole lot of pressure. I don't want to mess up my fender, obviously, but you also have to be careful doing this because you could pull the axle out and damage the axle. I've seen that happen before, not on a Durango, but on another vehicle, and that's not fun to fix. So, like I said, this might work. There's almost enough clearance, so I'm going to try it. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to bolt it back in, but at least you guys will know if you have to take that out or not. It's not necessarily that much extra work, but I just don't really want to have to pull the axle out if I don't have to. So that said, we're going to move to the top of the strut right now. You'll see that there's going to be 3 bolts. There's a larger one that you'll see right there. There's another one back here, which is kind of hidden. And then there's another one down right here. So I'm going to pull those out. This whole strut assembly is essentially going to drop right down. I'm going to try to angle it over top of that boot. If it doesn't work, I'm going to have to bolt this thing back in and then pull that apart. All right, to get to these 3 bolts, I have to remove this unit here. I don't know what this is. It looks like a battery bus bar or some kind of BMS for, I guess, probably for an accident or something like that, that monitors and shuts off power. Whatever it is, it's got to move, and I know that these are positive, so I don't want to ground those out. But there are 2 10mm bolts. There's actually one right there, and the other one's kind of hard to see. It's down underneath right here. I'm going to pull those out. I'll pull this thing out of the way. Again, you want to make sure that this doesn't touch anything ground because you'll be in trouble. All right, so I got that whole unit stringed out of the way. I went ahead and zipped off the 3 13mm bolts that you see on the top of the strut tower here. And now it's time to come back down here and see if we can pull this thing out. And just as I suspected, there is not enough room to make this thing clear without destroying your boot right here, and I'm not willing to do that. As you can see, the boot is just too large for it to slip over. Would have been nice if it did, but it doesn't, and that's okay. So what I'm gonna have to do right now, pull out the axle nut right here, and then our lower nut right here, and then this whole unit should come off, and we should be able to slide that thing out of the way. And so axle nut's off, that's 32mm. It's time to pull off the very lower knuckle nut right here, which is a 15/16, and this whole thing should pull right out. All right, and as you can see, that whole unit is off now. I probably should have took the rotor off first. It just pops off. You guys just gotta play with it a little bit. It'll make it a lot easier putting it back on, so I'm definitely gonna do that. But as you see here, now we're sitting like we wanna be. This is all able to be pushed down, and I'll slide this whole unit right here, right out. Well, all right, there you have it. It is fully out and it's sitting on the ground now. Now it's time to actually work and get into the actual strut itself. The old school way with like Honda Civics and stuff, you used to be able to just zip this top nut off right here, which is covered by a plastic or a rubber cap. But I learned on the Tesla I just did, it's not a smart idea. A lot of newer vehicles are coming up, they're coming with a really heavy load on the spring, and that pretty much, the chrome alley tube that goes up and down in this thing, when I pull that thing off, just bent the Tesla. Now that could have been just because it's Tesla. I don't know the quality difference, but I'm gonna assume that's probably not good for these. And so I'm gonna go ahead and be smart, use the McPherson strut compressor. I think it's called a McPherson strut compressor. Basically just compresses these springs down, and it'll take the load off this top so we can zip this thing off, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like right now. All right, and again, here's our McPherson strut spring compressor kit. And now don't worry, if you guys don't have one of these, you guys don't have to buy all these tools. You can rent most of these things at your local auto parts store, like AutoZone, places like that, and you get your money back when you bring it back. So it's a pretty good deal for you guys if you guys are trying to DIY this on your own and don't need to spend a boatload of money on the tools. So essentially what's gonna happen is we're gonna take this thing, you can see here there's 2 lips on this thing. They're gonna clamp over top of these, and it's just gonna zip down and squeeze this thing down. And here you have the strut or the spring compressed. Probably all the closer all want to compress it. Now, even though I got a little bit of a fisheye lens, it's hard to tell, but you can see that the strut compressor is actually bending a little bit. That shows you how much force and how strong these springs are. That's why I really have to say caution or advise caution in doing this, because it's a very dangerous spring. It's holding a very heavy load on a vehicle. So hopefully after we zip these on, these aren't quite as stiff as these, and they are slightly lower, which we know. So it should help us getting this thing back on as far as assembled. But now that these are on, I'm gonna go ahead and zip off the bolt that you see down in there. That should be like a 15 millimeter or something around there. I'll zip it off, we'll take this thing apart. But just prior to doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and mark all the way down this with a magic marker or a permanent marker so I can line everything back up. I'm not guessing how this thing goes back together, because this has to go a certain way compared to this when it bolts back in. And hopefully if you can see this, you see the line going up through here. I even marked the original spring in case I needed to, and then I'm marking the top. And all you're doing is taking something basically straight like this and you're running along a line of it. That's all it takes. So it's time to move forward. I'm gonna zip this thing off, and I'll show you what it looks like throwing this thing back together. All right, and so here are all our components separated. You have your strut, you have our rebound dampener, you have obviously the spring and the new spring, then you have your dust cover, and then our upper strut cap. So what I'm gonna do right now, I've gotta zip the strut compressor set off this one and get it onto that one, and then we're gonna slide it all back together and put the nut back on. And by the way, the nut was actually 18 millimeter for whatever that's worth. Something I want to point out, guys, is that I went ahead and cut a 1/2 inch off our dampener, and the reason why, and some might disagree with this, but if you saw how big that was, there's not a lot of room for travel already. You only got about 1.5 inches of travel on this vehicle. We're dropping it almost 1 inch. So that's only gonna give me a 1/2 inch of travel before it hits this thing. I didn't really like the idea of that. Knowing we're dropping at 0.9 inches, almost 1 inch, I cut off a 1/2 inch. I still think that's plenty left over on this. That's just what I did. You guys do what you want on that. All right, and just a quick screenshot to show you the difference between the new spring and the old spring, and the difference in height. So a little bit of difference. I do like the fact that the Megan Racing comes with this rubber, basically, it's basically a pad, because a lot of times these 2 or these 3 springs will come in contact when it hits bumps, and that'll stop these springs from hitting each other and wearing off the powder coating. So kind of neat. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing thrown on. I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's all said and done. And so there it is. Now, if I was smart, I probably would have took my box and flattened it out and went ahead and worked on top of that, because by not doing that, I scuffed up my springs. This may not happen to you, but I had glass bead in the floor for a non-slip surface, as filthy as it looks right now, and it's very, very abrasive. So I kind of screwed up there. Not a big deal, it didn't get down to the metal or anything, it just kind of made it a little less pretty, but nonetheless, it's back together. It's time to throw it back in reverse order. All right, guys, and it is all back together in reverse order as stated, and my hands are filthy enough to prove it. That said, we know that the driver's side is exactly like the passenger, so I'm not going to show you that. You know what that means. Time to move to the rear. All right, guys, and moving on to the rear, it's time to get into this thing. We got the front done now. The very first thing I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna put the wheels on the front. I'm gonna lower this thing down. And the reason I'm gonna do that is because we have to put jack pressure on the bottom side of this. And I don't want to take a chance of this vehicle tilting. And so if I have the front wheels on and they're close to the ground, if anything was to happen, it's kind of a safety for me, for one. And for two, to compress that spring, because if you can look at the size of these they're massive. I don't think our strut compressors will do anything for those, if I'm being honest. And in fact, I don't even think it'll fit over top of them. And so what I have to do is I have to get that jack underneath it and slowly work that jack out of it, bolt a couple things, and release that. Hopefully it's not too long. By looking at the new ones, even though they are lowering springs, they're not too much longer as far as being stretched out, so I think we'll be all right. But let me go ahead and get the front tires on, drop this thing down, and we'll get into it. All right, guys, so jumping in it, here's the plan.
First thing we got to do is take off the brake caliper right here, and the reason why is because even though it may lower as far as we need it to, it's going to be in the way right here. This line is for getting that spring out, so that's got to come off. The next step we're going to do is going to be removing the bolt to the sway bar in the back here, then the lower shock bolt, and then we have 2 upper control arm bolts we're going to take off, and this whole thing should slide right down, and that thing, technically speaking, should come out. Okay, and so taking off the caliper, we have, just like the front, 2 bolts that hold in the whole unit in the back, except these ones aren't star bits, they are simple 18mm bolts. So we got one here, and then we got one right down there, if you can see it. I'm gonna pull those out real quick, we'll set this off to the side. All right, and with the caliper set out of the way, it's time to take a 3/4 inch socket and pull out the sway bar link. All right, with the caliper over and out of the way, it's time to take a 8mm and 18mm open wrench and take off this sway bar link. All right, and with that kind of out, we're going to take our 13/16 socket and remove our lower strut bolt, as well as an 18mm to take out the 2 uppers. Okay, and with all those bolts taken out, I was actually able to slide out the sway bar link this way. I didn't realize that. But now's the moment of truth. Everything that's being held up right now is being held up by this jack. We're going to slowly lower this jack, and that spring should come right out. All right, and there it is. That's all the more we got. We should be able to pry that thing out of there and get the new one right in there. All right, so I was super concerned thinking that was gonna be really hard to get out. I can't believe how easy it was. It was like dumbfounded easy. So here's our original next to our new one. You can see the difference in lowering. So the only problem I see right now when I'm putting this thing back in, I might have to hold it while I use the jack to get it back up. I'm not for sure yet. We'll see as we dig it out and put it back in. All right, and so there is our new spring back in. All we gotta do is do everything in reverse over to put it back together. Let me throw it back together and show you what it looks like. All right, guys, everything is back together. This corner literally only took me 15 minutes to do. But one thing I do want to point out, because it's lowered now, the sway bar was actually sitting lower, and I had to use this block that you see right here to raise up the sway bar to get that thing to line up. Just wanted to show you what I did. There's different methods of doing it, but this was the easiest I could find. All right, so now that all that is done, I'm gonna do the other side. You guys don't have to watch that part, but then we're gonna drop it down, take it for a ride real quick, and then come back and we'll do our measurements to see kind of what we gained, or, well, lost at that matter. All right, guys, so I just got back from the test ride. Everything should be settled, and we're gonna look at the back from the start here. We're at about 3 inches. That's a 2-inch drop. And the front is about 3.5 inches. That is about an inch drop, so that's exactly what they said it was. Let's take a look at this thing overall. There we go, much better. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, throw that thumbs up, and if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. See the next content coming out on the Durango. See you in the next one.